Well, hey there. Welcome to episode 102 of WhysAdvice, and we're going live. We're going to try something new here, see who joins in, see what's going on. Denise, good evening to you. How are you this evening? Denise is checking in. Nitha's checking in. Good evening. We're over here. I got, let me get this going too. Trying a couple different things this night. Denise, good evening to you. Andrea, hello. David's checking in. So I'm also live over here. I got two things. I'm trying something new here. Trying to go live on Instagram as well. I'm going to do all of everything through Facebook. But for those of you who are on Instagram, you get a chance to at least chime in. But Julie's checking in. How are you? Ann's checking in. Shelly's checking in. Lenny's here. Good to see you. Karen's here. Andrea's here. Man, all kinds of good folks. Let's see. Andrea Main's in the house. Angie's checking in. Steven, Sandra's here. Good evening to you. Lenny, how are you, sir? Good evening to you. Ellen from Boulder, Colorado. Good to see you as always. Kathy's here. Katie, hello from Yakima, Washington. Yvette, good evening to you. Yvette, how are you this night? Lisa, hello. Jeff is in here. Instagram's a little harder to keep track of. I can see some folks chiming in here, but it's hard to keep track of them. But over on Facebook, looks like Karen's checking in, Linda's checking in, Ann's checking in from Pennsylvania. Jeffrey, good to see you. Haven't seen you in a while, sir. Good evening to you. Denise is here. Hi, how are you? Another Denise, all kinds of stuff. Smithtown, New York. Karen, good evening. Marie, hello. Hi, how are you? So this is kind of interesting because now Facebook, the comments are down over on the bottom left-hand corner, but the camera's over here. So if I stare at the camera, I can't read the comments. So Sherry, good evening from Maryland. Hello. Valley Forge, Tanya's checking in from Pennsylvania. Jeff, I saw Jeff was here earlier. Jessica's checking in from Texas. Very cool. Lisa's here. Hershey, Nebraska. Janet, good to see you. Ruth. So Nitha went to a baby shower today. Had multiple people told me that you look great. When you told me you had 20 pounds to go, they all said, oh, I missed your comment. They said they were bewildered, right? They're like, oh, you don't need to lose any more weight. It's funny how that we get that for sure. Kathy, after 6 blue dot week, you had 3 pound gain, water weight gain for sure. Yeah, I can feel it too sometimes. It happens to me as well. You know, the body does some crazy stuff with the food we give it. So it doesn't matter. Tracking blue dots is it's a habit and a mindset, and that you're building that consistency. And building that consistency is what's going to pay off long term. So week to week, that's why we focus on the trend line. We don't focus on week to week numbers, even though week to week numbers are important. But you've got to really keep your mind solid on what the trend line is doing, and that trend will get you there. So, Rochester, New York, Mary Beth, good evening to you. Araceli, good evening to you. I did not see your message, but you're here now. Cheryl's checking in. Yvette, down 10 pounds. Nice work. Jill's checking in. Good evening. I'm sideways on Instagram. I wonder, it's on Instagram. Let's see if I try this for fun. Does that help on Instagram for those of you who are on Instagram? See if that makes it any better. I don't know how to use Instagram, Lisa. So, I don't know how to use the live. This is the first time I've been live on Instagram. So, that fix? All right. So, Cindy's good evening to you. Jeannie, North Alabama's in the house. Cool. So apparently Instagram does not like to be sideways. Who knew? So anyway, Jeannie's here, North Alabama. Andrea down 3.7. Nice work. Yeah, water. Shelly, I'm the same way. I did not get enough water today either. I was out on the golf course all day, which is why I'm still dressed golf coursey. Let's see what else is going on here. Frank, good evening to you. Let's see. Memphis, Tennessee. Cindy's checking in. California, down 49 pounds. Lucy, good job. Incredible, right? Doesn't it feel awesome? All right. Let's see. Angie's half a month gone and all blue dots. And this week you lost 1.8 and you're 1.8% away from 10%. Angie, that's incredible. 10% means if you hit 10%, you can hit goal. Period. It's that simple. It sounds harder than it is, but if you've lost 10% of your body weight, you don't get any new tools, nothing changes, you can hit goal. So Angie, keep up doing what you're doing and you'll get there. Jill, it'll work. I have confidence in you. Yeah, Jeannie, gain 1.3 this week. However, you have a sinus infection, so you don't really care. Yeah, take care of the sinus infection first. Paulette out of Southern California. Jeanette, I'm trying to go live on Instagram as well just to see if that is better or not, but I'm going to always stay with Facebook. Because I have my iPad working now, so I was hoping I can get more comments on, view the comments better on the iPad. So I got the iPad running Facebook, and I said, well, while I'm doing that, I might as well go onto Instagram and see if there's an audience for Instagram that wants to see this as well. So let me just kind of get that set up there. So cool. All right, well, let's get this show. 102 is in the books, ready to get going. You guys ready for that? Kim, good evening to you. Let's see, I think we've hit everybody. Good job. Lisa says down 45 pounds with my knowledge and wisdom. And I'm just sharing what I know from the podcast and live video. Good job. You started making attendance goals instead of weight goals and it made a huge difference. That's how you do it. It's exactly how you do it. All right, so I've neglected to get... I forgot to set this computer up. Give me a second. I forgot to set this computer up ahead of time. What was I thinking? Yeah, normally I set the computer up behind me ahead of time, and I completely forgot. So it took me like 2 seconds to do it. It'll log in. Let's see. Steven is here. So Steven, just so you know, I tried using the iPad now, and it doesn't give me any more comments other than I have a much bigger screen. Yeah. Angie, totally missed last night's Facebook Live, right? Yeah, it's funny, that's the one thing... It's the one thing I struggle with, too, is I really want to do this every night. I really, 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 really do, because I know it takes that much focus. I know every day we have to figure out, hey, what it is, what are we trying to do? And I know it's difficult. So my goal is always to do this every single day. But man, I tell you, here we are at 10 o'clock at night, and I've been on the golf course all afternoon, got to work in the morning, and tonight is easy. Everything's ready. But last night, we slept till 10 o'clock this morning, which was nuts. So, doesn't happen very often. Oops. All right, let's roll. Test 1, 2. Testing 1, 2. Testing 1, 2, 3. All right, see a couple comments over on Instagram for folks who don't have Facebook, so now they're able to chime in. The Instagram folks, one of the things you're going to learn real quick is, let me get the comment stuff going up here. Yeah, Sandra has got it, right? This is how we start every show. And one more test. Test 1, 2, 3. Ready? Facebook ready? I am your host, FatDag, and you're listening to WhysAdvice. My weight loss journey failed when I focused on how. It wasn't until I switched my focus to why that I truly transformed myself. Join the show on the web at FatDag.com and follow along on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all at WhysAdvice. Send in your comments, your questions, and your celebrations, and I'll include them as part of the show. But before we dive in, remember, when you're out of points, stop eating points. Hey, I'm honored to be your wingman as we walk through this journey together because I believe in you. Well, hello there. Welcome to episode 102 of WhysAdvice. Always great to be here. Always great to hang out with you. Before the show now, we're streaming live on Facebook. And then I just now added live streaming to Instagram at WhysAdvice, both of them. So depending on where you're listening to the show, if you want to catch the pre-show or the post-show, you certainly can do that on Instagram and Facebook. Otherwise, enjoy the app, enjoy the podcast as we get it out there. The show content does not change no matter where you listen to it from. So if you want to get that out there, always honored to be here with you. Thank you for hanging out. I'll open the show up with Debbie's email. Debbie writes in and says, "Hi, FatDag. I got your email this morning. It was the shot in the arm that I needed to recommit. I had a great week last week and I lost 2 pounds. This week was horrible. I ate my way through lack of control of other things in my life and the related stress. And of course, I gained back the 2 pounds. Thanks for being my wingman. I appreciate you reminding me that I simply do not need to be complacent and that I can do this. Debbie." Well, Debbie, thank you for the validation. And that email that I send out, the whole reason I do that email is nothing more than just to kind of remind you that you wanted to do this. I've asked people to go to fatdag.com, click on the email sign up. It's not a marketing tool. It's nothing more than right now as you're listening to the show, you're strong. Your head is in the game. Your mind is in the game. And you're really focused on getting this done. That's why you're tuned into the show. But we know a lot of times life happens and things change. And at some point you all of a sudden don't log into Connect. You don't visit the live show. You get the alerts and, FatDag's live and you say, yeah, not tonight. And you kind of go away and then 3-4 weeks go by and you just kind of just go through the motions again and you're really not following the plan. I'm hoping at that point that email comes in your inbox and that is enough to remind you, oh, that's right. When I signed up for that email, I was strong, I was focused, I was committed, and I wanted to get it done. And I want that email to bring you back into us, into Connect, into the broadcast, whatever it is you need to get back on plan. Now, what you said was actually cool is that you had a great week and you lost 2 pounds. And then you had a terrible week following and you gained the 2 pounds. Well, let me tell you what's going on there. I think this is kind of cool. The 2 pound loss is proof that the program works. It's proof that if you tracked, if you are honest about what you're eating, and you had your mind 100% engaged, that 2 pound loss validates that. It validates that the program is working. Now, what happens is when you quit doing that, when you lost some focus, when you gave in to stress, and when you gave in to the other things, you had a 2 pound gain, that also is proof that the other thing is true, is that if we don't control what we're doing, then it gets out of control. So you keep that in mind, that a 2 pound loss proves the program works, and when you don't follow the program, you're going to go back to your old ways of eating, and that is where you're going to have to worry about it. This journey takes absolute focus. It's every meal. It's 2, 3, 4 times a day you have to stay focused on what it is your goal is. And the question I want you to ask is do I want this? Would I rather have this food, or would I rather change my life forever? And would I rather make goal? And the reason I ask it in such a way is nothing is off limits. You can have anything you want on this plan. We've talked about that more than once. Whatever it is you want, you can have. Once you figure out how to control it and how to work it into your plan mindfully. And so when I ask you is if you want pizza, or would you rather make goal, or do you want pizza, would you rather change your life forever? I'm asking you to understand that work-related stress and other things in your life will always tempt you to dig into your old habits. And you have to then say, do I want this or do I want to change my life? And if you ask it in such a way, when that temptation comes along and you say, no, actually, I want to change my life. I want to do something different than what I've done every single time. My normal reaction to stress is to eat, and that gets me to the 2-pound gain. Now, if I want to completely change my life, I need to react to my stress differently, and that's by tracking, being accountable, and moving forward. If you do that, you absolutely can have success. Keep up the great work. The next email comes in from Lenny. Lenny writes in, "Hi Mike, also known as FatDag. My name is Lenny and I live in Tampa, Florida. Thank you for the podcast and the inspiration. I have a story and it may be a little long, but maybe it will help someone else, like so many of your listeners' letters and emails that you have shared have helped me. I joined Weight Watchers in June 2017. I'm currently down 8.4 pounds since I joined Weight Watchers. I am 53 years old and I have a similar story to you in the military. Well, see, I was in the military from 1982 to 2002, and I was lucky enough to experience the Navy, the Army, and the Air Force. Not by design, and a very long story. Anyway, around the early 90s, I started gaining weight and struggled with weigh-ins and PT tests, and I came within one failed PT test of being discharged. I worked hard, and I would ultimately pass and lose the weight, but somehow it kept coming back. Like your story, I would hide from doing the PT test like a kid who doesn't want to go to gym class. Listening to your story, I had the exact same thoughts you did about ways to get out of the PT test. Eventually, I retired from the military, but that just seemed to give me an excuse, and my weight shot up even higher. I joined Weight Watchers, I lost about 20 pounds, and then I thought it was fine, and I could do the rest on my own. Well, of course, that didn't work, so I gained it all back. So here is my why. In October 2015, I was at the doctor's office for routine blood work. They got some abnormal readings and directed me to a hematologist. More tests, and I was ultimately diagnosed with a very rare disease called essential thrombocytosis. Say that 10 times fast. Basically, my bone marrow makes too many platelets, and that places me at a higher risk for stroke, heart attack, and blood clots. The doctor told me there is no cure, but one way I could reduce the risk was to lose weight and get to a healthy weight as soon as possible. I took this advice seriously. I joined a gym and I started working out. But even when I made this positive change, I wasn't eating properly to lose weight. In 2016 and early 2017, my wife and I experienced several heartbreaking losses in our family. My brother-in-law, sister-in-law, and my dad all passed away within 4 months. I guess I ate my way through some of my grief, and my weight shot up to my highest ever in May of 2017. Fast forward to me listening to your podcast and binge listening to catch up. I don't know which episode it was, but there was a lady who wrote into your show about how she tried a gym, did it for a while, but it didn't work out for her. She went on to find another gym that didn't work out, and she loves the new gym. I find it fascinating that the gym didn't work out for her. She never said the name, but based on the description, I think it was the gym chain that I've been going to since November 2015. Well, I absolutely love it, and this gym was the reason that I'm off blood pressure medicine now. I don't say this to say that I was right and the other listener was wrong. I say this because I'm actually proud of her for not giving up and finding something that works for her. And what didn't work for her does work for me, so it just reinforced to me that everyone needs to work the program for themselves, and what might work for one person may not work for you. I wish I could find her name to give her a shout out, but if she's listening, thank you and keep up the great work. I was working out regularly at this new gym, logging my food in MyFitnessPal every day, and I was not seeing the weight loss. Sure, I felt better, but the weight was not coming off. We recently had a 6-week weight loss challenge at my gym, and I placed in that challenge, and I won a prize for 4th place. It kind of kick-started me, and then in the following week, I joined Weight Watchers. So now I have the workouts in, I'm logging, I'm getting the blue dots, and I have a program support from you, Connect, my weekly meetings, etc. I was lucky enough to find you on Connect, and then I wrote you a message, and you responded immediately. I don't know how you do this, but thank you. I am still binge listening to get caught up, but I have in my short time back on the program made an attendance promise to myself. I will not miss a weekly meeting for 1 year, and I intend to keep that promise. I really appreciate you and all the stories I've heard on your podcast. I get inspiration from all of your listeners and all of your positive reinforcement. It's a game changer. I look forward to this journey and getting healthy and getting to goal. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for doing this. You saved my life. Seriously, Lenny. And then he goes on to say that the gym that is working for me was Orange Theory Fitness. Not sure if you can say this or not on the podcast. Lenny, I can say whatever I want at this point. This is the fun thing about this podcast. And what I can say is, dude, you are absolutely killing it, crushing it, and doing fantastic work. You're absolutely right. As I read through your story, our stories are very similar. Just like you, I was one PT test failure away from getting booted from the military. Now, congratulations and thank you for your honorable service to the military. 20 years is amazing work. You're doing what you've done for our nation, our country is absolutely invaluable. So thank you for that, Lenny. So here you are, one PT test away from getting discharged. I was as well, and so we work hard and we lose the weight just long enough to pass the test, and then we gain it up. And one of my whys, which I haven't shared a lot, is I know a lot of folks who retire from the military, and that first time they come back into the office after 4, 5, 6 months being retired, many of them have put on a little bit of weight. And so I also, now that I've gotten to where I am, I don't want to be in that scenario. I want to make sure that for the rest of my life I'm healthy, and in order to do that, what I had to do was completely change my life and my lifestyle. So you've said it perfectly. You joined Weight Watchers, you lost 20 pounds, and you thought you could do it on your own, and that doesn't work. I think many of us who are in that boat, we think that, we get the results we want, and then quickly we say, okay, this is it, I'm done. And we know there's very clear evidence that that's not the case. For those of us who have struggled with the weight most of our lives, for the rest of our life, we're going to have some sort of accountability measure or a focus on our why to keep us in a healthy weight range. Now, continuing to attend the meeting and staying with the program will continue to remind you why you joined, and that'll continue to help to reinforce the great behavior that you're doing. Now, here's what I thought was interesting, Lenny, and one of the things that was really interesting in your email was when you got that diagnosis, that's a very strong, powerful why. And a lot of us in our life, we get these things that kind of help us go, hey, here's a why. And they're kind of like flashing lights, right? And they say, here's what you should do to take care of your health. And that motivates us really quickly. We leave the doctor's office on fire, but we don't really have the right tools to make a complete change. So we leave the doctor's office ready to go. Yeah, I'm going to do it this time. And about 2 or 3 weeks is, sometimes that's all it takes, and we kind of give up on the program. So that's why, it continues to have daily focus and daily reminders to keep us on this plan. Very, very terribly sorry about the stress that you've gone through with your family. I can't even imagine what that must be like. It's completely heartbreaking. For you to understand that there's a period of time where we're simply doing your best, that attitude had to take over, and you had to get into that mode where, I'm just trying to get through, just trying to survive. You had to get through that point. Once your new normal set back in, it's time now to focus on you. It's time to take that diagnosis from the doctor and say, how can I make my life different? One of the hardest things we have on this journey is that we want to change. I haven't met too many people that when they finally understand that they're overweight, they say, I want to make a change. I haven't met too many people that say, I want to make a change, but they always say, but I kind of want to eat the same. In order for us, it's hard for us to understand this piece, but if we want to make the change, everybody I've met wants to, but in order to want to, you have to take it one step further, and you actually have to actually do it. And so in my case, I want to be healthy, I want to be fit, and I want to eat the same way that I did years ago. I can't do both. That's where the rub is. Now, there are certain things that I can bring back in. There's certain things I can have, but the actual way that I was eating before can't happen ever again. So I have to continually be reminded of that piece of it. So following up into your, the way you resonated with the lady from the gym. And so, yeah, you're right. I believe it was Orange Fitness. I kind of understood it as that as well. And it's intense. And so I'm glad that you found that to be beneficial to you. But you've proven one thing that they've taught me early on when I went to the later training. It was the most eye-opening experience I ever had, or during this entire journey. As we sat in a room, we sat and talked about, hey, what did you do to become successful on this plan? Because that's important, right? Everybody wants to know what it is you did, because they want to duplicate that and they want to have that success for themselves. So we sat around, we talked about it, said, what is it that you did to become successful? Write it down, and then sit with the other people, the other folks in your group, and compare them. And the fascinating part was that no two people had the same how. That's it. No people had the same way to do it. So there is no right answer when it comes to how do you do this. Whatever it is you can do that you can sustain for life is doable, and you have to do it. What we know now is if you understand one step before the how and you understand the why, that why will continue to allow you to keep looking for hows. As a how becomes boring, you add a new how, or you change the how, but the why stays pretty consistent. So you can do this. You've absolutely figured out that you found Connect. You found a group of folks that are working for you to keep you focused on why you're doing it, as you continue to find many different hows to get you to goal. You absolutely will get there. I'm confident of that. And so, just to say, well, let's when I don't necessarily believe in luck per se, but I do understand how luck plays into the journey. When you said that you were lucky enough to find Connect and that you sent me an email and I responded immediately, that sometimes is a little bit scripted, and so it's hard for me to respond to a bunch of different messages, but every once in a while some come through and I just feel the need and the urge to get right back. So I'm glad in your case you were one of the ones. I'm sure there's hundreds of folks that say I email him all the time, he never responds back, and it's certainly not my intent, but I'm glad for you that ended up working. Lenny, you're winning. You're winning this battle. You for sure. You absolutely can do it. I didn't save your life at all. You, sir, are saving your own life. You're using the tools that are available to absolutely change your life and get it done. And for that, I'm honored to walk with you. Next up, Big Joe writes in and says, "Hi, FatDag. My name is Joe, also known as BigJoeLuke. I'm 70 years old, and although I was never in the service, I'm a retired New Jersey state trooper, which is a quasi-military organization with weight and fitness requirements which had sanctions. That is, if you did not pass the annual weigh-in physical, you were not eligible for promotion. Although I never failed a PT test, it was a continuous struggle, so I can sympathize with your military obligation. My wow moment occurred when during therapy for my shoulder, I saw myself in the mirror and was horrified by what I saw. Mirrors and photos do not tell lies. I am a prior Weight Watcher member, but I stopped going thinking I could handle it on my own. Wrong. I returned March 1st at a whopping 267 pounds. Since then, I've lost 31.4 pounds. I attended the Saturday morning 7:30 meeting with a great group of supporting members. However, being introduced to your podcast has certainly had a positive effect on my maintaining my focus and my enthusiasm. Weight Watchers seem to always focus on their female market, so I was glad to hear from a male leader with similar struggles. I am not an emotional eater, I'm just an overeater who enjoys good food. I have health issues, blood pressure, high blood pressure, heart disease, but both are under control. I've had both knees and a hip replaced, so a reduction in weight would be beneficial. Denzel Washington gave a talk to inspiring young actors, and he stated, "A dream without a goal is just a dream." He concluded that to obtain that goal, you must have discipline and consistency. I look forward to your daily words of encouragement, which are relevant and extremely helpful. Thanks again, BigJoeLuke. Yeah, Joe, for sure. The mirror and photos do not tell lie. That's why my number one piece of advice always is take a photo when you start this journey. Because a lot of times that emotional trigger, when you see that, it kind of continues propelling you. But more importantly, when you start having some success, it's really good to see the comparison, 5, 10, 15, 20 pounds down the road in a set of photos, which you can't necessarily see on your own. So a lot of us, it's photos and mirrors that finally wake us up to get us to start this journey. And so you're absolutely right. Then when you say you join Weight Watchers and you have some success, and we think we can do it on our own, that's a very common theme. I see that and hear that all the time. And it happened to me 4 other times, so I completely understand it. And I know now that that part doesn't work, and I will forever have some sort of accountability measure in place to make sure I get this done. Like you, for the most part, emotional eating isn't my big struggle. My big struggle is simple overeating. Food is good, and so it's not it's a social aspect for me, and a lot of times I have to worry about that, but I found ways to reel that back in, and by most of it is just really focusing on, understanding and tracking. And when I track, I use the tracker to tell me when it's time to stop eating, and I rely on that mechanism, so forever I'm going to have to rely on that. Now, I love your Denzel Washington quote, that a dream without a goal is just a dream. That kind of falls in line with my kind of theory of hope and luck are not plans. Hope and luck are dreams, right? If you're hoping for something, or you're waiting for luck to help you with something, then those are your dreams. And in order to make those dreams a reality, you have to have the discipline and focus. You got to put a plan into action and make it happen. Now, hope and luck certainly play in, right? But if you have complete control over this, then I don't want you to wait for hope and luck to solve it. I want you to solve it. If you have no control over it, then by all means, a little hope and a little luck go a long way. But if you have the ability to take care of your life and to take control of a scenario and a situation, you don't need hope. You don't need luck. What you need is focus. What you need is discipline. And if you take that focus and you take that discipline and you apply it to your goals, then that dream becomes a reality. And that, my friend, you absolutely can do. Ellen writes in, says, "Hi, this is Ellen from episode 67, following up on an email relating to exercise and me. I had been walking nightly for over 2 months with a few Weight Watcher friends, both are younger, I might add, and I'm loving this. I never walk for an hour every night, and I actually look forward to it. Well, last weekend, I wound up in the ER. Nothing to do with walking, and after seeing a specialist yesterday, I was told that I must stop exercising temporarily. Well, thanks to you, I heard your words in my head. Exercising is important, but it does not get us to goal. I am possibly paraphrasing you, but I know as long as I continue to track and stay focused, this bump in the road won't stop me. I believe this, and I must follow my doctor's orders. You had said there might come a time when we couldn't exercise and we must rely on the program. Well, that time is here for me right now. No more overeating over self-pity. I am physically improving and connecting with other Weight Watchers and posting on Connect too. Like a good piece of fruit, I can taste goal. Thanks for your inspiration, Ellen." Ellen, great job on your walk up until the point where you got injured. That building that consistency, and I can hear the emotion in your email that you actually enjoyed it. That's what I want you to get to, and that's where you are. And you're absolutely right, as one of the dangers of using the exercise as a weight loss tool is that there will come a time, no matter how old we get, there will come a time when we can't exercise to the same level and intensity that we do today. It's going to happen to every single one of us. It's just a fact of life. So we have to understand how we can control our eating and our weight by eating healthily and making sure we're eating the right things. Because if you have to rely on exercise to lose weight, and that continues to allow you to overeat and choose the wrong foods, meaning in quantity, and continue to make not the best decisions in a health mode, and exercising allows that to all happen. The day you can no longer exercise, that's when the struggle starts all over. And I don't want you to continue to struggle. I want you to use exercise. I want everyone, if you have the ability to do something, I want you to get out and just move more. And by doing that, it continues to reinforce the notion that you're healthy, that you're taking care of yourself, and that helps you make better choices when it comes to eating. Exercise is very important to this journey. Eating right, tracking what you eat is critical. That's the piece you need to focus on. That's clearly what you're focusing on. If you eat healthy, the body absolutely responds, and the body will take care of you if you feed it properly. Following up and posting on Connect and posting in the forum with Weight Watchers, it's absolutely an amazing community. That's the community that got me to goal. That's the community that believed in me before I believed in me. And so I'm glad to see that you're reaching out more in there. I want you to search for a handful of hashtags that resonate with you, that work in your journey. Continue to follow up and comment on those who inspire you. There's thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people out there with some amazing stories. When you find the ones that inspire you, that becomes your tribe, and you work together and you believe in each other, and together you get to goal. Last up is Jane. Jane writes in, says, "Hi, Mike. Thank you for your dedication, your motivation, your time, and thoughtfulness in your podcast, which I've listened to virtually from the beginning. I'm Jane from New York City, and I've lost 30 pounds, just celebrated the completion of 9 months at goal. I say third time's a charm because I first made goal in 1994, then I gained back all plus more. I made goal again in 2000, then I gained back all plus more, and reaching goal again in September 2016 for the final time. I'm writing on a topic that you haven't really addressed. You've said frequently that a person will know that they are at goal when they decide they don't want to lose another pound. In my opinion, this may not be the right standard because it's often too difficult physiologically to move from a weight loss mode to a maintenance mode. Well, why not just keep losing if I've been consistently successful? Why not just lose more? I've mastered the plan and I've been focused on it and it worked. Well, this is especially true for women and especially for those of us in the fashion capitals like New York City. It is difficult to ditch the mindset of never being too thin. In my own case, the goal weight that I set, or which was set for me in my first 2 times on plan, was just not sustainable. I was so excited to look so thin and tossed all of my clothes, but I didn't have the tools or support or exercise regime to sustain that weight, and as soon as I finished the weight loss phase, I started gaining. This time is different because of the support and the tools that keep lifetime members engaged. Even though we generally don't benefit Weight Watchers financially, if we're free lifetime, I also get set a goal this time that was 5 pounds higher than my previous goal weight, because I thought that weight was more realistic to sustain and I would not fall into the same trap as before. When I reached that weight in September 2016, I increased my points from 30 to 34. I eat all of my daily points most days, plus most of my weeklies. Aside from walking about 12,000 steps a day at a normal going to work back and forth pace, I'm not yet an exerciser. But now I'm 6 pounds below my goal. I'm comfortable at this weight, and I see many people posting on Connect who are 15 pounds or more below their Weight Watcher goal weight. But it sure is enticing to aim for lower and lower weights when we are surrounded by extremely thin people and stores carrying smaller and smaller sizes. There's that voice in my head that says, "You've got this, keep losing." I'm interested to know your thoughts on this mindset and whether you've received other emails from listeners who have similar concerns. Thanks, and have a great, focused weekend. Well, absolutely. Congratulations, Jane, on 9 months at goal this time. It sounds like you've made some adjustments in your plan that now can help you sustain this for life. Like many of us, we bounce back and forth. We go up and down, and when we think we can do it on our own, the fact that you've made the adjustments in your plan, man, I'm really proud of you. You understand that, increasing your points from 30 to 40, 34, eating your dailies, getting your steps, all of that combined is a plan that you can sustain for life. Now, when I say that goal is a feeling, it's different for everybody, right? So depends on where you start in the journey, depends on how much fitness you want, but everybody at some point is going to get to a point in their journey where they finally go, yeah, I feel really good. I look good. I don't really want to lose any more weight. I can do things that I've never been able to do. That is what I consider goal. That is the feeling that I'm after. That is the feeling that I want you to experience. Now, we know it's impossible to keep losing weight. You can't get down to zero. So at some point, the weight loss will have to stop. But I want you to stop before it becomes unhealthy. It's just as unhealthy to be too thin as it is to be not thin. So you will have to find a place in your journey when you become healthy and you're at a weight where you really, really enjoy it. Now, I think at that point, that's when you tag in a doc and you look at your doctor and say, hey, this is the weight that I'm at. Is this sustainable? Is this where I want to stay? And if the two of you agree, then that is what your goal weight is. You can set your goal weight many different ways. And clearly, if you set a goal weight in the normal, healthy BMI range, that's one way. But the other way is to work with your doctor and say, hey, doc, this is the weight I'm happy at. Doc, I just ran 9 miles today. Doc, I'm doing this. And at that point, we all agree, yeah, that is your goal weight. Continue maintaining that. Keep track on that. Keep tabs on that. And you will absolutely have success. So, everybody is going to have a different range. No two people, just like we can't work the plan the same way as somebody else, we can't sit there and say, well, you're the same age as me, you're the same height as me, so we should have the exact same weight. There's so much that goes into our body structure that we have to just kind of tune in to how we feel. And goal is a feeling, and it's a healthy feeling. It's a fitness feeling. It's a feeling that you can only describe when you get there, and I want you to get there and continue to experience it. Just, Jane, keep up the amazing work. Sandy writes in and confirms that. She says, after a lifetime of failure, this time I did not quit. I made goal this morning, and it feels fantastic. So that's what it says. She said it feels fantastic. So that is goal. When you say, I feel fantastic, that's the point where you say, yeah, I feel fantastic. That's goal. You can set your range based on what you want it to be in that healthy range, but you will know when you feel fantastic. And when you feel fantastic, it's time to celebrate, because that's when you're at goal. What is it that you're celebrating? Let's share it on the air. Go to FatDag.com. Click on Listen Now. Send in your celebrations, your comments, your questions. I'll work them in as part of the show. I want you to email in your celebrations because I really want you to be proud of what you're doing. I want to share them with our community so that everybody knows that we're going through this together, that we're here for each other, and we will always be here for each other. Well, that's going to do it for this time. Remember that losing weight and getting healthy has nothing to do with luck. You have to remain disciplined and focused. Set your sights on your goal and go after it. I wish you good focus. Whoop, whoop. Wow. So let me try and get caught up here on a couple of. So we have obviously Instagram, folks. For those of you who are listening on Instagram, what I'll probably do for you is I'll come back to your comments after the show. I'm going to try and manage the Facebook side for a little bit. I think just real quick, I think 734 Sunshine on Instagram saying Weight Watchers does not tell you what your goal should be. Correct. It gives you a range. Correct. So I'm not sure why members say Weight Watchers said my goal should be. Correct. So yeah, you absolutely have 100% control over your goal weight. 100%. And it's a goal feeling. And so if you set a number that's in your normal BMI range that you picked, then you don't need anyone to agree with that. You can pick a number anywhere in your range. If you want to pick a number outside of that range, then you just need a doctor to confirm that you're making a healthy decision. And if your doctor agrees, it does not matter what that number is. You get your doctor to agree, you bring that in. Now, the caution with that is you need to, most doctors are really good about pushing you a little harder. So, you can actually lose a couple more pounds. And so that's what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're doing it honestly and accurately, and that you're not just picking a number because it's too hard to continue working the plan, because you're going to be working it for life anyways. So, heading back over to Facebook, looks like I missed quite a bit over here, but let's see. Julia's here. Lenny says, this was my best podcast ever. I think, Lenny, maybe it was the second email that made this thing the best. I'm not sure. What do you think? Is that it? That probably has something to do with it, Lenny. Great job, sir, for sure. Yeah, Jeannie said, here comes the after party. We try and hang out for a little while on the after party, so very fun. Yeah, Denise, I thought so too. Some of these emails, this is the hardest part about this show, is some of these emails come in, Lenny, when did you send that in? That was probably a month ago, right? So it's the inbox is, I love getting your email because I can pull through and find the ones, but you have to know when you email in, it may take a month for me to get to it. So very cool. Linda, thank you for that. I appreciate that. John says, good focus to you all. Yep, I agree. So it looks like Steve's talking about his version of the plan. I understand that. Yeah, Steve has a plan where you obviously eat your weeklies, which we heard in the email tonight. There are folks who are eating their weeklies. So Steve has a plan to help you eat your weeklies a little more systematically. So if you're interested in that, follow Steve and figure that out. Steve, I don't follow that side of it. I just eat my weeklies. When it's time to eat them, I eat them. Yvette says, I was doing an arm workout every day except Friday, and I had to stop today because your elbow is so sore you can hardly move it. It's a bummer because your arms are so flabby. Yvette, so here's where I would say back up the arm workout a little bit, right? Because what I want you to do is be able to do that with consistency and prevent the injury. If you get too sore or have an injury that prevents you from continuing to do that, then what happens is, obviously you have to take care of the injury first, but what's really happening is you're not allowing yourself to develop the healthy habit of continually doing it. So I would rather you work out with less weight and more frequency so that you build up the fact that you go consistently, and that just trains your brain a little differently. So keep up that, and then you will get there for sure. Angie says you don't have a goal weight yet, and you see what the Weight Watcher app suggests, but you won't know till you get there. Same exact with me, Angie. Actually, it's just the opposite. When I first joined, I was scared of my goal weight. It was a number that I just, no way in the world could I even come close to hitting. And I ended up hitting it, and then now I've been some strength training, so I've added some weight to it, but I'd never, ever in a million years thought I could have gotten to it, and I would have quit if you told me I had to. So instead what I did is I focused on eating healthy and eating right. My leader encouraged me just to continue following the plan, and that's great advice because I still follow the plan. So that's perfect. Vonda says, fabulous show, Mike. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. No, so Denise is saying if my range is 106 to 137, when you get to 137, do they automatically say you're at goal? No, Denise, you have to tell them, you work with your leader and say, hey, I want my goal to be, and you pick that number. You can continue losing, and the leader won't actually know until you stop and say, hey, here's what the number I want it to be at. Yes, you're right. We need to advocate for ourselves. This journey, even though we're all doing this together, we're all working together, it's 100% your journey. You have to figure out what works for you, and you have to continue doing what works for you. You have to ignore everything that someone says that doesn't work out for you, period. If someone says something and it doesn't make any sense to you, you have to find a different way to get the results that continue to tap into why you're doing this. If you tap into why you're doing it, everything else will fall into place. So June, great example. So one of the things June says the doctor wants me to lose 10 to 15 more, and you're thrilled to get this far. So yeah, absolutely, right? So now here's the thing. Your doctor, as smart as they are and as trained as they are, they can't completely look at you and say the exact number you need to lose 10 or 15 pounds. So what they've done is they're giving you a 10 to 15 pound range. And when you lose 10 or 15 pounds, then you'll come back in and they'll just continue to reassess. Go, yeah, you look great. You feel great. How do you feel? What do you, let's check your meds. Let's check your labs. All of that comes in and says, that's where you can determine setting a goal weight. So, back over to Instagram. Kind of hard for me to bounce through, but, a lot of folks chiming in on Instagram saying they don't have Facebook. So glad to see that we're on Instagram as well. So, it's exactly, my intent is to continue to add Instagram and Facebook. Honestly, I'll probably do more interaction with the Facebook group only because that interface is easier. But certainly, those of you on Instagram, thank you for being here for sure. Let's see. Kim says, great show. Another one's in the books. That's right. So Kim is doing a lot of encouragement. Another one's in the books. Thanks a bunch. Let's do this. This week is us. That's it. Very cool. Yeah, so Lenny sent the email in a month ago. So it takes a month sometimes for the emails to get on the show. Every once in a while I pull one out and I throw it on instantly. But, yeah, so Brian, that's exactly it, Brian. Your doctor raised your goal weight because he wants you at 210. No one's going to argue with your doc. So if your doc says 210, you get a note that says 210, you bring it in, and that's it. Does not matter what the range is, and then we take that number and say, yes, that's your goal weight. So good job on including your doctor in that for sure. That's the hardest thing I think for a lot of us to understand is that and it's just a number, right, at this point. So it's the same way. He doesn't know what 210 looks like on you, but he just wants you to add some bulk and some muscle tone. So just listen to your doc all along the way. Let's see. Yeah, Lenny, I thought that was the case. I tried to reach out to Lenny's email. He said lost about 8 pounds. I think he finally hit your 10%. Isn't that right, Lenny? Let's see. We're talking about how to set your goal weight, which we talked about. Yeah, and don't work. Denise is saying don't work the same muscles on consecutive days. Yeah, you need to give your muscles a day to rest. Paula, yeah, you missed another great show, right? And so you'll catch up tomorrow. I'll put the video, the live video will go to YouTube. For those of you on Instagram or Facebook, of course, the video is on both, but it also goes to YouTube. The channel is called FatDag, so you can always watch the replay of the Facebook video, which is the same to go there. Yay, Maria came home from Lake today and went right to a workout class. So that's that consistently we talked about. Jana says, I kept eating points on vacation when you were out of points. You're fired. Where you went wrong is you tracked after you've eaten them. That we know that to be true, right? You have to, the plan allows you to have whatever you want. We've talked about that. So here's the rule though with that. You can have whatever you want as long as you've looked it up ahead of time and you've made the decision to eat it consciously. It doesn't matter to me at that point whether it takes you negative or not negative. What I mean by that is if you have 10 points left for the day and you all of a sudden go to grab something and you look it up and it's 20 points, let's just say. And then you say, I have 10 points left. This is 20 points. I want it anyway. And you're conscious about that decision and you know the ramifications of that decision and you're willing to accept them, then track it, eat it, and enjoy it. What'll happen to most of us, though, is that you'll have 10 points for the day. You'll look up something that's 20 points and you'll say, do I want this? And if you say, you know what, actually, right now, I'd rather just have half. That is the way you win. But regardless of which of those you choose, if you've done it mindfully and intentionally, you're doing it right. It's when you don't care and you just grab something and eat it, and then at the end of the night, look it up to track it and realize it was 20 points. That's where we start getting into the danger. I want us to modify our behavior, and the behavior modification comes with looking things up ahead of time and make a conscious decision to have them. So, Linda, always enjoy hanging out with you as well. This is my energizing, it's the way I energize for my week as well. Same. It's funny, you guys, I laugh, and I do the show for about two reasons. One is because I need the accountability. Even as a leader for me, my 2 meetings a week aren't quite enough, to keep my head in the game. So I need that daily interaction as well. And 2, I really want you to join me at goal. I want us all to be at goal. So it's a win-win for everybody. Yeah, Laura, I did the same thing. Laura says she set her goal weight 5 pounds at a time. So yeah, I just want to lose 5 more pounds. Just want to lose 5 more pounds. Just want to lose 5 more pounds. I did that 5 times for a total of 25 pounds, and then I called that goal. Jeff saying, what do you tell yourself when the weigh-in scale doesn't move after a week where you've hit every blue dot, didn't touch a weekly, and you exercise every day, even on a business trip? Stay the course. Let me see if I can click. Yeah, stay the course, you suppose. So Jeffrey, that is that's the mindset piece we have to attack. So if you a couple things. The fact that you understood that the scale didn't budge means you checked in on the scale. That's a huge victory, right? Normally after a business trip, we don't check in on the scale until a couple weeks later. The fact that you went on a business trip and you tracked everything you ate, that's a huge victory. So those two things are significant behavior modifications that'll carry you to goal. The fact that you hit every blue dot is great work. Didn't touch a weekly. Depending on your body, and you have to understand your plan. There were some weeks I didn't touch my weeklies and some weeks I did. It all depends on the week. But the fact that you didn't touch them generally sometimes gives you a little bit better success. So here you are. You went on a business trip. You tracked like a track star. Amazing. You came back in. You weighed in. Amazing. You're winning. You absolutely are winning. If you now take that momentum and you carry it forward and you do all of that again a second week, you'll get the results you're looking for this week. So your body doesn't necessarily agree with the timeline that you've set it, but here's what happens. If you allow that week to, you had a great week on plan, the scale didn't acknowledge it. If at that point you give up, then you were probably only a couple days away from getting the results that you were looking for, but you gave up too soon. So continue to make healthy choices, continue to track what you're eating, and the trend will carry you in the right direction. So, dude, I'm super proud of you for on a business trip tracking and getting blue dots, and then coming right back and hopping on the scale. Amazing, amazing work. And then Jeannie adds that, and you might need to eat your weeklies. So, yep. So that is obviously a solution that you're going to have to now experiment with, and see if that's true in your case or not. And in many cases, it is. The weeklies, folks. The weeklies are part of the plan. So that's the formula that we've developed includes weeklies. So you notice the plan doesn't have yearly points or monthly points, right? Because those aren't part of the plan. The weeklies are part of the plan. Work them in and eat them. Then, obviously, adjust your plan as you're getting the results. So let's see what else. Steve will always chime in with eat your weeklies. And then Denise is saying, how many fit points do you have for the week? So fit points play in as well. Megan's here. Woohoo! Megan Kelly from Fox News, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see, Julia, up to episode 60-something, listening to and from work. Very cool. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you have the app. I think the app it's for me, it's my favorite way to share. I just think it's just kind of cool that you can just pull it up and grab any episode. So, and also it's one of those things, if you download the app, there'll come a time when, again, if you get complacent and you get kind of a little bit off the journey, you'll pull up your phone, you'll see this app, and that may remind you to come check in. So very, very nice. Yeah, so Lenny is down 10% unofficially, but you have about 3 or 4 pounds to go until you're officially at 10% based on your Weight Watchers weight. And so, yeah, so Lenny, the bottom line is you're clearly on the path for success. You're doing great work. So here's interesting. So the Instagram folks over here, Instagram's telling me I have 1 minute and 50 remaining before that feed shuts off. So I did not know Instagram had a timer. Facebook will continue to go. So on the Instagram side, we may end up losing you Instagram folks. So I'll address one question over there. It says, isn't it somewhat true that the blue dots don't always equate to weight loss, or is that an individual thing? So the blue dots, if you're overeating on fruit, if you're not weighing and measuring, if you're working out, you can, or if you're eating blue dots every week to the end, you can not be working the program perfectly. So for instance, if you eat your weeklies and the blue dots give you up to 7 points extra. If you do that 7 days, that's 49 extra points. So you have to stay, without going negative, stay in the blue dot range is how I work the program. And then monitor your fruit intake, because more than 3 or 4, maybe 5 servings of fruit, and you're still getting calories. So go ahead and listen to that episode from a couple days ago. Yeah. So Brian and Megan are going back and forth. Very cool. It's like a family show. Let's see what else here we got over in Facebook land. Brian and Megan. So Brian and Megan are on episodes 99 and 100. So if you haven't listened to 99 and 100, Megan writes in on 99, and then Brian writes in on 100. Really, it just happened accidentally. I didn't really plan that. It was just really cool the way that happened. Let's see. Angie said you had a 20-point lunch Saturday, and that left you with 5 points for supper. So you dipped into your weeklies for a 3-ounce piece of chicken with veggies. Great work, Angie. That's how you do it. Because then you made the conscious, mindful decision to do it. So, all right. Yeah, Instagram's funny. So I didn't know. Did you guys know Facebook? So we've lost the Instagram crowd. But Facebook folks, did you know that Instagram cut you off after a little while? I did not know that. Kim, episode, I think it's 16, talks about the blue dots. There's a bunch of episodes. So Kim, if you get the app, go to the App Store, click on, look for an app called WhysAdvice. And then when you get the app, pull down on the front and you'll get a little search bar at the very top. When you get that search bar, type blue dots, and that'll show you every episode that talks about the blue dots, and you can listen to what the blue dots mean. So Marie, go to bed for sure. You got to get up at 4:45 to swim. Woo! Jamie says, been working out daily now going on 3 months, which is incredible. I was only eating your daily points and the scales were not moving. So you asked folks on Connect, and almost every person you follow said they've lost a lot. Said if you're working out a lot, you need to eat your weeklies. You held off and the scales didn't move because it didn't make sense to me. Well, finally someone made it make sense to me. Last week and this week, you're into your eating your weeklies. And then your comment cuts off. So I'm assuming that because you ate your weeklies, you lost weight. Because your body needs fuel to do everything it needs to do. So you can't starve it into losing weight. You have to, now I'm a big fan. If you're going to eat your weeklies, I don't think eating your weekly means grabbing a Snickers bar at 10 p.m. That's just me. If you want to and you make the decision, we talked about that. But I think for me, if I'm going to dig into my weeklies, I want at that point make it a healthier choice because I do need that for my body's fuel and I make the better choice for my weeklies. Yeah, a lot of folks are eating the weeklies, so I think that's good. Good. Yeah, Corey wants the weeklies to turn into like rollover minutes, right? Yeah, that would be fun. Yeah, so Denise is doing great. An average of 1.2 to 1.6 loss per week, which is fantastic. Way to go, Denise. Yeah, so Linda's explaining where the healthy eating zone is. If you go into your app, into the journey tab, into the calendar, you'll see a calendar, and that shows your weekly range. And so your blue dots is a -3 to +7 of your daily allowance and not going negative in the tracker. Linda, good night. See you next time for sure. Steve says, goal looks good on all of us, doesn't it? Goal looks good on everybody. So, very cool. Yeah, so Denise, again, so there, when I did there were some weeks I ate all of them. There were some weeks I ate none of them. I just kept my body guessing, and so I just ate what I needed to eat when I needed to eat them. And so some weeks I needed to eat my weeklies, some weeks I didn't. So there was, for me, I don't understand truly. I just know that some weeks I did and some weeks I didn't. So, yeah, no rollover for weeklies. Yeah, so Julia, you've been eating a pound of cherries and a pound of grapes every day. So just keep in mind that they still have calories. So listen to, I don't know exactly, episode 98, 99, or 100, or 101. Somewhere in that range, I talked about this exactly. I think it's, I don't know, you have to do the search, I'm sorry. But if you look in there, your fruit still has calories. So, if you're eating, let's just say you're eating your points every day, and then you're eating another 1,000 calories in fruit. well, then, you're not going to have the great success that we think we have, because fruit still has points. It just doesn't have, fruit still has calories. It doesn't have points. So we talked about this in the show, is that your brain understands points, your body understands calories. So the reason we give you the fruit as 0 points is to trick you into eating healthier, but you also need to recognize that too much of that, it still is calories and needs to be accounted for. Yeah, so blue dots, no, blue dots are not all equal, is what Steven says. No. If you have a blue dot of Snickers bar, it's not the same thing as a blue dot of chicken breast. So the blue dot is not the end all, but the blue dot helps kind of monitor the mindset and the behavior. You could eat Snickers bars 4 meals a day and get a blue dot. Yep, you certainly can. But doesn't mean you're eating healthy. So I've always made the assumption, when I talk about the blue dots, I'm always making the assumption, and maybe I got to rephrase how I word it. I'm always making the assumption that you're choosing healthier options when you do that. If I wake up tomorrow and eat 4 bags of Doritos and nothing else for the rest of the day, sure, I can get a blue dot for the day. I can very easily call it a blue dot day, but doesn't mean I ate right. So, yeah, so Lenny's over on Facebook. Yeah, I didn't know Instagram cut me off, so we'll have to figure that out. So maybe what I'll do to the Instagram crowd, maybe I'll start Instagram as I start the show, and so the Instagram will not have the pre-show, maybe. We'll have to see. Audrey saying, you're not focusing on blue dots because I eat a lot of 0 point foods, and calorie wise, if you stop at around 1,200 to 1,300 calories a lot of the time. So yeah, I don't know. I haven't done the calorie conversion on any of my food. I strictly follow the plan for points, and that seems to work well for me. Yeah, so Jill says episode 101 talks about fruit. So Kim says good night. 5 a.m. comes early. I agree with that. So Enza says 47 minutes on the stationary bike while listening to tonight. So I love it. That is so cool. And let's see, Jamie says eating healthy items and trying to get most of them in earlier in the day and leaving just a few points for a snack for after workout, which because of work is 6 to 8 p.m. Yep. So I'm glad you're fitting it in. Jeff, if you're still here, one of the things I thought of that I didn't mention is look at your protein intake. Make sure you're getting enough protein. Google how much protein you should have for your height and your weight. But it's probably roughly to 60 to 80 grams a day of protein. So make sure you hit your protein numbers. Even though Weight Watchers doesn't track it, I think that's key to to help us, is that you want to get protein. Let's see. Right. So yeah, Marie. So it's the same as tracking every day. Yeah, it is. You absolutely can. You can track every day. You can get blue dots every day, and you can still be eating junk food. And that's why I've always kind of maintained that it goes back to, yeah, you can make goal doing that. You could eat Doritos every day for the rest of your life and nothing else, and you'll probably make goal. Doesn't mean you did it right. And so then what happens is when you make goal, then you freak out and you have to relearn to eat again. And so I want you to eat the right way along the way so that you change your habits and learn and develop a healthy lifestyle. So. Yeah, so Steve reconfirms that 0 point and free are not the same. I think we've beaten that horse pretty good. Very cool. So, yeah, 1 pound of cherries is 234 calories, 57 grams of sugar. So 283 calories. So yeah, that's a lot of calories for a pound of cherries. That's an hour in the gym, right? So an hour on a treadmill is roughly 283 calories for walking. And so if you can walk for an hour to eat those cherries. So even though they're 0 points, you still have to understand that they're calories going in. So, yep. So Steve says if you're eating your points and you're hungry, double checking your protein is a good idea. Steve and I finally agree on something. Angie says you were not eating enough protein per day. When you added more protein, you stayed full longer and you weren't hungry all the time. That's exactly what the protein does. Is so, one of my favorite food switches that I did was I was eating the 7-point Nature Valley granola bars. And so I just made the assumption that if you put the word nature in the name, it was going to be a healthier option. So Nature Valley granola bars was 7 points. And I would eat one of them, and there's like no protein in them. And then when I switched to an actual protein bar, one, it was lower in points, but two, it actually turned into a meal and sustained me longer. So when I made that switch, I gave up the Nature Valley granola bars because they're good for taste, but they weren't good for nourishment, I didn't think. Now, I'm sure there's someone who loves them, but it wasn't me. Maria says refocusing tomorrow had a family tragedy. And you're really an emotional eater. So Maria, man, I understand that. So here's what I want you to know, Maria, is obviously, our heart goes out for your family tragedy, number one. And so you need to understand that some days you have to just do your best. And so right now, what you're going through, your best is to take care of you and to take care of your family. And that may not be what you wanted to do on your weight loss journey. So right now you kind of put that on pause and you figure out what your family needs, and you kind of do your best to control the scenario. And then when things get back to normal, whatever that new normal is, then you readjust and you relook at your plan and you refocus and you recommit. So, just always stay mindful of what you're trying to do. Even in the tragedy, as difficult as it is you can make different choices, but you're going to have to understand that doing your best means you just gotta just do what you can for the day under the current set of circumstances. So, yeah. So Jeffrey's saying, yep, he's talking about he is getting protein, which is good. 30 to 40 minutes on the elliptical is great. And then so the fair amount of fruit piece potentially. So Jeffrey, track your fruit, and actually put it in the tracker. And then so you'll know how many servings of fruit you're getting. And then for fun, look up the calories of what that is and see if you're getting an extra 1,000 calories a day in fruit. That could be a possible thing to consider. And so Denise, that's interesting, right? You stopped tracking blue dots because you found you weren't being honest in tracking, so you could get a blue dot. I actually did that as well. And so yeah, I understand exactly what that mindset comes, because you focus so much on getting the blue dot that you're like, once you have a blue dot, there was a night I remember not too long ago, I had the blue dot for the day, and I ate something after, and I didn't track it because I didn't want the blue dot to go away, which is absolutely stupid. Yeah, Steve and I agree. Mind blown. For sure. Angie, I have a Quest bar for breakfast most days too. And that pretty much carries me through. So, cool. All right, looks like we're down to the last comment here. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Take me a second to get the show published. So Marie, that's incredibly sad. So right now your focus is your family and being there for your sister. That's what you're focused on. While you're doing that, because that is the priority, while you're doing that, you try to make the best choices you can make in the scenario that you're in. But give our love from the entire community to your family, but go support them. That's what they need right now. So. But yeah, cool. Sorry, we'll go ahead. We'll wrap this up. Again, as I opened the show, what I said is that this takes focus. Every single day, every single meal, we understand what it is we're trying to do, and we try and just get there. So I'm glad that you're here, because when you're here, it tells me that you're committed to you and you're taking care of you and you want to get it done. So great job for that. But we know it takes focus. We know it takes discipline. As Denzel Washington said, a dream without a goal is just a dream, right? So if you want this, you have to work for it. Don't leave it up to luck. Don't leave it to hope. Do it. You can do it. If you've lost any weight on this plan, you can continue to lose weight and you can have success. Just keep doing what you're doing because it works. And so with all that, Have a great night. Your week coming up for you guys on the live side, it's Monday morning soon. Have a great Monday. Wake up on plan. Go to bed tonight on plan. Loving it. Wake up tomorrow and get it done, and we'll see you tomorrow night. But more than anything, I wish you good focus and continued success. Have a good night. I got to get used to where the camera is. I keep thinking the camera's over here. I can wait for this hand now. Good night.